Hey guys, it is Friday, and for this week's episode we decided all of us would be a part of it at the same time instead of just in between stories. So we hope you like today's format. Do let us know what you think, but we have 5 stories to get through, so we should probably start.
Let's do it.
So there's been a lot of contention over whether eSports are real sports, both like for the gaming community who may or may not be involved in them, and then for obviously the sporting community who have strong views over whether eSport is a real sport. But in something that I think even surprised supporters of eSports, they're actually talking about having eSports as a part of the 2024 Olympics.
Yeah, competitive gaming got a big shot in the arm this week. The head of Paris's Olympic Committee spoke to the Associated Press saying that there are conversations ongoing with gaming groups and also the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, about adding a gaming tournament to the Paris Games in 2024. So we don't know a lot about the specifics yet. Obviously, it's just preliminary discussions at this point. But definitely a huge move for esports, whether or not you think they deserve to be there. The head of Paris's committee said it's something that they definitely want to explore, considering how popular and how massive esports are today. Like he made the case that gaming deserves a shot at the table. Whether or not they're accepted remains to be seen. We're gonna not find out the official program for the games until 2019 or 2020, so still a lot of time left. But definitely very exciting news this week.
We're all super excited for Destiny 2. I'm excited.
We're excited.
Well, I'm too excited apparently. But you don't want to know how I'm going to temper my excitement?
By
I'm going to go buy
buying merch. Oh,
I'm going to go buy some sweet merch.
I thought you would temper your excitement by not spending a bunch of money on
scented
ice
candles.
trays.
Ice trays that look a lot like penises. Numbskull is a design company that is releasing a bunch of official Destiny 2 merch. Everything you can think of, they've pretty much made. I'm excited about, like I said, the scented candles. 5 scented candles for 5 planets, all based on 5 materials you can find on those planets. Spin metal, worm spore.
Lovely.
Because of course.
I want a scented candle called worm spore.
Who wouldn't?
And then I want like my mom and grandma to come over and I'll be like, this is worm spore.
Yeah, exactly. What about you guys? What are you guys excited for?
I think you're forgetting the most important Destiny 2 licensing opportunity, which is PopTarts. There's going to be officially licensed Destiny 2 PopTarts. Don't know for sure what they'll taste like yet, but they'll taste like sweet, sweet victory.
No doubt.
Imagine.
Yeah,
No doubt.
I think my couple of favorite things, I mean, obviously there are like keychains and like bits and pieces that make a little more sense, but there's also bathrobes if that's something you want. There's also Christmas decorations, like baubles, like Destiny 2 baubles. I guess they must be the planets. I didn't look into it enough, but y'all are probably looking at them right now, so get back to me in the comments and tell me if they're the planets. So I was playing Tacoma yesterday, which is a really bloody great game that I'm trying to get more people to play, but the point was I was playing it on Xbox One, and I don't play a ton of Xbox One. I'm very much on my PC and then occasionally on my PS4. Boy, is the Xbox One dashboard hard to use for someone who just wants to pick it up and play.
Yeah, I mean, I've made the mistake several times. I'll go to start Forza and Halo 5 will start, and I didn't even know I had Halo 5 for starters. But Microsoft seems to have heard our cries because they're doing a complete redesign of the home menu.
Yeah, this week they made the big announcement that completely revamping the way the home screen looks, the way the dashboard works, the way the guide works. Obviously, huge changes in response to these issues that they are obviously well aware of since the launch back in 2013.
Yeah.
It's gotten better over time, but still, as they add more features, there's more complexity. But now they're kind of stripping those things back. And the first thing you'll notice when you open up the new home screen is the last game you played or the last app you used will be right there front and center, so you can jump right back in if that's what you want to do. And if not, there's going to be new things called content blocks, which you can assign the games or the apps that go in those sections. So whatever you want, you can put there, and it's basically just like a quick launch menu, kind of like folders on PS4.
Right.
So they're definitely kind of responding to what the competition is doing there.
That's
too.
cool.
There's also going to be suggestions. So right next to that first game, or the game you played most recently, will be a suggested deal from Xbox Live or a suggested game or app based on what you were playing or based on what your friends were playing. So Microsoft obviously looking at the feedback and changing the console hopefully for the better. Right now, you can, if you're part of the Xbox Insider program, you can test it out right now. And the whole update that introduces this is coming out later this year.
To completely pivot from something to look forward to, the internet got up in arms this week about something that they're not looking forward to. Microtransactions in Shadow of War, the sequel to Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. We covered it a little bit earlier this week, but it's basically you can pay for loot chests in this game.
And war chests.
There's two different kinds. But they seem to be, they're giving you gear and followers and XP boosts and everything you get from playing the game, which to me sounds like a shortcut in a single player game. It's going to take away from your gameplay time.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why people are up in arms a little bit. I mean, obviously, this is a single-player game, and we're kind of accustomed to microtransactions coming in the form of, cosmetics, things that don't actually change the gameplay experience. But, this is a full price game that's coming out, and it's offering you, the opportunity to level and pick up cool followers and earn yourself cool gear. But instead, there's this whole system where you can just buy it. And I think people are really confused by that. And I think the reason why people are angry is they're angry about what this might mean going forward.
Yeah.
Like, where are microtransactions going if they're, starting to be so heavily implemented into a AAA single player space?
I mean, microtransactions, I think it's worth saying, are, not new. I think the exception here, or the difference here, is like you guys were saying, single player game brings up the question of why would you want to do that? At the same time, though, they are completely optional. Everything you can earn through normal gameplay as well. It's you do you. It's 2017. This is where games are, but it is a very interesting precedent that it may be setting here. Obviously, the game doesn't come out until October, so it remains to be seen how this all works in the live game scenario, and we don't know the pricing yet.
It's interesting as well because it was obviously something that they anticipated because they released this information late on a Friday in a forum post?
In a forum post. It wasn't even a traditional press release or anything that went out really on their social channels, or nothing that they really wanted to call attention to.
Yeah.
So they kind of, you get the idea, you get the understanding that they saw it as kind of a tricky optics situation. They didn't know how it was going to look, so they kind of put it out there on a Friday when maybe a lot of people wouldn't see it.
I think it's also worth noting Assassin's Creed Unity also had microtransactions in single player where you would come across chests that you couldn't open unless you bought, I'm pretty sure it was special keys.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you had to buy special keys or whatever with real money to access chests that you could find in the game. So this isn't the first time something like this has happened, and I think people are just worried that microtransactions are already extra money on top of how expensive games are nowadays. And you want to be able to pay a certain amount of money and feel like you're getting the full experience. And anything that seems to be invading on that, I think, is what's worrying gamers.
Another huge piece of news this week was around the new PS4 game from Ninja Theory, Hellblade. There is a very controversial permadeath situation going on. It's a fluid situation. We don't exactly know all of the specifics at this point, but it looks like when you get to a certain point, if you meet certain parameters, the game will essentially reset and make you start again, which is causing a bit of an uproar.
Yeah, so towards the very beginning of the game, Senua, the protagonist, gets infected with rot, and apparently the game lets you know that every time you fail, aka every time you die, the rot will spread, and if the rot reaches her head, then the game says you will lose all your progress. Comes up in massive letters. It's impossible to miss. It's not a conversation. It's something the game's telling the player. So I think that's why, all the reviewers are definitely calling it out. This appears to be quite serious permadeath. That said, PC gaming site PC Gamers N looked into it, and they died 50 times on purpose and did not experience the permadeath. In response to that, people said, no, the deal is you have to die multiple times over multiple checkpoints. Of course, the game has multiple chapters. There are people who come out saying they did experience permadeath, but a lot of those reports have come through places like NeoGAF that can't be completely confirmed.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has come out with a screen or a video showing, hey, I actually experienced permadeath. So it's probably not something you definitely need to worry about, but it's definitely caused an uproar.
It's interesting to me when a game from Ninja Theory, who are so much about their narrative, all their games are always about the story, that they would put into something an element like this to make you replay parts of the story that you've already played, because not only if you lose all your progress and you start again, you're going to be annoyed, but you're going to just not pay attention to that story they're trying to tell. And then when you push past it, you're just going to kind of be annoyed.
Well, the thing is, I think that's entirely the point. I think they want you to be scared of permadeath because the entire game is about, she's enduring all these psychoses, and she's basically got PTSD. The game has a huge focus on mental health. So I think putting the fear of permadeath in the player makes their position quite similar to Senua's and makes it easier to empathize with her because the tension is there for both of you. So even if it is a bluff, I personally think it's a pretty clever one. And I think if it was a thing that actually happened, it would be very silly because no one wants to lose 6 hours of progress. But to make people scared and to make people actually feel like every combat encounter is a threat, much like she does in the game, is cool.
That's everything we have for you this week. We're all done. And if you want to hear more about Hellblade, you can check out our review on site. You can also see Reboot and History of Sonic. We've got a video that's 50 minutes long about all Sonic games. You should definitely check that out. It's really cool.
Yes, and do let us know what you thought of today's stories, how you like this format, this talky format. We like it, so we want to know what you think of it. We will see you again on Monday with more news, but in the meantime, be sure to have yourselves a great weekend. Dan's already got a Jedi bathrobe, so...
I do, and it's a Jedi robe. You can just say robe. When a Jedi wears it, it's a robe, okay?
But you aren't a Jedi, so it's a bathrobe.
Not yet.
Anyway, moving on. There's also Christmas decorations, like baubles, like Destiny 2 baubles.